Boy, Christmas brought so much joy. Couldn't wait for the presents and laughter. I couldn't sleep late at night, looking for Santa with lights. Those are the memories I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am. But right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Hello, Star Wars fans. You know, there's just 129 days until Christmas 2023. And if you believe it, Santa's already being booked for the season here in Central Ohio, where I am a Santa Claus. They're already asking for Santa Claus reservations. So I've already booked some of those for the upcoming season, and Christmas will be here before you know it. In fact, there's a little bit of a Christmas gift coming to all of us next week. Oh, and I've got my friend Star Wars Meg with me. How you doing today, Meg?
I'm good. How are you, Santa?
I'm fantastic. On a scale of no hype to all the hype, where do you fall? Are you really hyped for Ahsoka, or optimistic, or what? Where do you?
Oh, why'd you have to ask me that? Because I know what I'm going to say is going to upset people. All right, so before the reviews, I was like 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And as I said in my video today, we need to look at the critical people, because they've been right every single time with these shows. Because you can't listen to the people who overhype everything, and then they say this was the best thing ever. They get in Disney's good books, they get invited to everything, and then sure enough, the show comes out, episode 4 or 5, and it's like, okay, maybe the next one. So I was at a 10, now I'm at an 8.
So still very good, but not like over the top.
Exactly.
You know, I almost feel like the amount of excitement. First of all, for me, I'm probably a 9.5, and that's reluctant, because I've got some concerns. I'm worried, and the problem about being above the hype level that you maybe should be is the letdown. Right? You're expecting a 10 out of 10 and you get an 8, you feel a little let down. If you feel like it's going to be 7 or 8 out of 10 and you get an 8, you're like, wow, that was exactly what I expected. That was great. So I get really worried about myself, even when I'm more hyped over something than I feel like I should be. But man, this looks good. I'm excited to see some of the reviews I've seen. There's a lot of folks that come out of there, and there's one person I know personally that enjoyed it a lot. I was very excited to see episode 3. So I'm hopeful and excited. And I'll tell you, the biggest thing that I'm worried about is Thrawn. I can't help it. I've been reviewing the trilogy on my Patreon, and today we released the last of the chapters for the Thrawn trilogy. All 3 chapters are out there, or novels are out there, every chapter. And Timothy Zahn wrote those books while he had the scripts for Rebels, and they mesh into Rebels really, really well. Except for the Rebels finale. I feel like when I finished that novel, Thrawn Treason, which ends just as the finale starts, and there's some setup in there. Like, if you've seen the Rebels finale, you know that one of the things is Ezra goes into that chamber on the Chimera where Palpatine tries to lure him into accessing the world between worlds, I believe. You've seen that where he sees his parents through this portal.
Palpatine uses his old pre-Revenge of the Sith look, and then we see those Praetorian type Imperial guards come in, and
Yeah.
because Ezra resists it in the end because he sees Ephraim and Miriam, and he reaches out, and last minute he realizes it's Palpatine trying to control the universe.
Yeah. So in Thrawn Treason, you actually see Palpatine give Thrawn the order to build that room. He sends him the plans and the materials, says, build this room, and I want you to bring Ezra Bridger to it. That's at the very end of the book. And then you go into the finale, and that happens. So you know, oh, I know what that is. I know where that came from. And as you read through that trilogy, you get to know Thrawn, and then you watch that. Thrawn in the finale, there's a few things he says in there that just hit me very wrong. And so my biggest worry is that they're going to portray Thrawn just as a power-hungry villain. And
I think that's exactly what they're going to do. But I'll also say this, you might not have to worry, because I don't think Lars Mikkelsen did more than just a scene for this show.
I've got to check. I have a source. I've got to check and see how many scenes they shot.
Okay.
So I'm not exactly sure, but I'll reach out maybe today and see if they can tell me how many scenes they shot. Not the details. Oh, and just so folks know, I told Meg right before we came on, I don't want to cover any spoilers in the first half of this. So as we're talking through the reviews that came in last night, all of them have this. They've been largely abiding by the embargo, saying we can't tell you any details. We're just giving you our reactions. We're going to try to keep it to that level the first half, and then we at the end may flip over to do some spoiler discussion. Before we do that, we will be very clear. So if you guys don't want any spoilers, you can check out when that time comes. All right. So the other huge bit of news that came out just a little bit ago are the release dates for them have changed. They backed it up a little bit. The tweet as I saw it, and kudos to Matt Risman for sending it to me. It says, we're excited to announce that new episodes of Ahsoka will launch Tuesdays. New episodes on Tuesdays. So not just the premiere, but new episodes are going to release Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, which is 9 p.m. Eastern for me. And unfortunately, that means 2 a.m. for you.
It does. So
huge gift for our North American friends, not so much for our European colleagues. Yeah,
that's true.
So some of you are going to be very tired if you try to stay up during the actual premiere. You know, leading up to this, it's been 3 a.m. Eastern for me, and I'm just like, nope, I'm out. I'll watch it when I wake up in the morning. And I think that's we were on your Discord, and that's basically what you said there as well, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll
kind of watch it and break it down in the morning.
Excellent. And now you're going to have this other issue, the issue that I had. When you wake up in the morning, you can't turn on the Twitter. You can't go to your Discord even, because all the spoilers will already be there.
That's true.
So you have to kind of close yourself off to that, or else you're going to be disappointed, right? And unfortunately, I've caught myself in that a few times where I come in and I say, oh, I've got a message, like a DM on Twitter or on Discord, and I'll go and look and be like, oh, my eyes, Ah,
Are you sure that wasn't just you watching the Kenobi show?
I love you. I think you're just the best. Oh, you're trolling me. No, I enjoyed. I enjoyed Kenobi. It was fine.
Fair enough.
Anthony says when they announced the time, I was surprised they didn't put it in prime time, 8 p.m. instead of 9 p.m. for the debut. Well, Anthony, it depends where you live. Right, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, 6, like 6, 7, 8 o'clock across the country. There are a lot of folks in that central time zone that are right there, prime time 8. 9 p.m. is still prime time, I would say. So no complaint at all from here, right? Yeah, and chilling in the basement. You're not wrong. It's been proven time and again that Dave doesn't really give a care about the books and comics, right? He does his story, period.
But
And
here's the thing: neither did George Lucas.
true.
George Lucas, before the prequel trilogy, there was the Dark Horse comics, which did a bit of Kiadi Mundi, Aila Sakura. There was like some prequel seeds in books before the prequel trilogy, and he just threw that out the window. So I don't think it's unique to Dave because they know that people watch stuff more than they read stuff in today's day and age.
But that's true. That's true. And I recently saw somebody going back and making the claim that George Lucas respected the EU. And I'm like, I don't know what agenda you have, but that's just not true.
Didn't George literally say he didn't want anything to do with the guy he hired to do some of those books? Not Zahn, the other one. Yeah, he didn't care for any of Luke's extended family.
No, he certainly did not. And repeatedly he'd say, yeah, that's a different story being told over there. I see it adjacent, but not, I don't even know what's happening over there. I don't pay any attention to it.
And when you get over that, you can enjoy the sequels much more.
I think so too. And you may have been a little cheeky, I'm not sure, but at the same time, I think that's true. Like, if you are a George Lucas loyalist, you just like, that's the Star Wars you love and adore the most. And the things that he was not directly in charge of kind of don't hit as well for you. If you can put that together with, say, Rebels or the sequel trilogy or some of these Disney Plus shows, even though they have his characters in it, they're based around his story. If you can look at it in the same point of view, you can kind of accept it far easier, right? I'm trying to get caught up with the comments, just scrolling up. Let's see, did I miss anything? Are we caught? If you left a comment and I missed it, you'd like me to read it, put it back in the chat again, and I'll try to catch it again. We were just doing the intro, and we're expecting Jason to join us here pretty soon. But I told him 9:30 a.m. and so he may Pacific, so he may be a little bit late. He may.
I also feel like with George Lucas, there's a lot of fan revisionism.
Yes.
Some fans insert a lot of what they believe about Star Wars and just put George Lucas over it and say, that's what George believed. It's like, how do you know that? We don't know what he would have done with the sequel trilogy. He had outlines, but he wanted to go even weirder and crazier than the prequel trilogy.
That's true. People say, well, yeah, we saw his original or his sequel trilogy, or we know it exists because he handed it over, so on and so forth. Like, we don't need to retread all the details there. But at the same point, and this is something that Jason and I covered in a series we went through several weeks where we went deep into the details. The original trilogy didn't pan out the way he originally had them outlined. The prequel trilogy certainly didn't pan out the way that he originally outlined. As he went, he revised and changed. So what he turned into Disney, for lack of a better term, to Lucasfilm after Disney bought it. He gave over to Kathleen Kennedy and folks, would not have been what you saw on screen when he got done. It just flat out wouldn't be. You'd go back to his original trilogy and read his original story points, and they're not. A lot of them aren't in there at all, and some of them changed drastically between when he shot A New Hope and then he shot Empire Strikes Back. A lot of the stuff he had, even when they shot Empire Strikes Back, changed by the time we got to Return of the Jedi. So, look, the revisionism says, oh, his sequel trilogy would have been whatever. And you don't know that. Nobody knows that. George would have changed it, and we don't know what it would have ended up being by the time we got it. So,
And he was heartbroken by the Star Wars fandom's response to his films.
he was.
He famously said that, it's like trying to paint a house red and you have all these people telling you it should be blue or white or whatever. So
Yes.
he was frustrated and he wanted to tell his story.
Yes. That's absolutely true. So, the Ahsoka reviews. I know you covered a lot of them this morning. A lot of them are glowing, especially if you are a Rebels fan. They're saying it's Rebels Season 5, and that makes total sense, being that Dave had originally kind of outlined Season 5 for animation, and then changed course. And now it's live action and Ahsoka. So, yeah, a lot of that is what he would have written for Rebels, now taking into account things he's worked with John on The Mandalorian. I hear that there's some continuity with The Mandalorian, even in these first 2 episodes from some of the reviews I've read. So certainly some modification. But if you're a Rebels fan, you should be absolutely over the moon for Ahsoka as it's coming up, because it's Season 5. It's live action, and it's Dave Filoni. It's his creation. It's all the things you could hope for, I would think.
I think so too.
Yeah. The biggest issues that I'm kind of weary of are, one, live action portrayal of the story instead of animation. There is a difference in medium, and how well would that be executed, and the use of the volume. We've seen that can be done extremely well, and that can be done less well. I'll put it that way. Some people would say poorly, but where will Ahsoka fall? On the done really well end, on the less well, or somewhere in between? I've heard a little bit of mixed things on there, and you covered part of that today as well, right?
I did, yeah. It's a mixed bag. What really worries me is the dialogue. And I know people like to bring up the prequel trilogy card and say, well, the dialogue in the prequels was bad. Fair enough. But the Disney Plus shows don't suffer from just wooden dialogue. They suffer from stupid dialogue. And I've seen a couple of critics suggest some of those interactions are very dumbed down.
Perhaps. But I would say go back and watch Rebels with a critical mind, and you'll see the same thing, right?
But Rebels can do that. Rebels was aimed at young audiences and general audiences, so it can get away with that with its style. Like, you're expecting it to be more kiddie, even though I would say it wasn't, but it can get away with that kind of dialogue. When you're doing a live action show that to your average casual fan is just a Mandalorian show, I don't think you have that luxury, but we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we will see, and I saw it brought up in Discord at least, that not everything's going to have the look of Andor with its bricks and screws, right? So not everything's going to be that way. Some of it's going to be more Mandalorian volume heavy, and then hopefully since it's a brand new technology, we know it's already gone through generational improvement, like a Gen 1, right? Gen 1 of the volume, Mandalorian Season 1, was amazing. We'd never seen anything like that. So your eye is less critical. And then you get Gen 2 of the volume for Mandalorian Season 2, and you're still like, wow, this is even better. And then you see things like Kenobi or even Boba Fett to some degree, and like, oh, it's not all roses with the volume. It can be done wrong. And then certainly they're improving on the technology, but then it's the so just understanding that the technology itself has generational improvements. There's the mastery of using the tool, right? Somebody who can use Photoshop really, really well versus somebody who can barely, manage it. You can see a difference. And it's the same for the volume. People who can use the technology really, really well, you can definitely get more immersed than somebody who's kind of just on the surface, right?
I do have a question for you, as a fan and as a friend.
Yeah.
How has your opinion on Disney Star Wars changed since, let's say, Mandalorian Season 2, if at all?
Let me bring up. I'm going to change the question just a little bit.
Go for it.
Because with The Force Awakens, all my hopes and expectations for Disney era Star Wars were exceeded. So coming out of Lucas-owned Lucasfilm to Disney-owned Lucasfilm, I was excited because I wasn't a big prequel stan, right? Prequels fell largely short for me, and George Lucas wasn't known for putting out a great volume of work. So I came into it hopeful we were going to get more Star Wars, and it would be better because it couldn't be worse, like in my opinion, right? So from the prequels, right? It couldn't be worse than the prequels. God, let's hope it's better. So coming out of The Force Awakens, I was on a super, super high. Even now, The Last Jedi, really high. Like, this is fantastic. So from there, I think that I've come down onto a more of a regular plane where I look at the Disney era live action stuff as generally positive, but not all great.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I had a very interesting experience with that because I loved The Force Awakens. I loved The Last Jedi. And all the content creators, may I just say, who were around in 2017 liked it at the time. I think it's when fans started hating on it that, that became a popular narrative. But a lot of people at the time did like The Last Jedi. And then for me, Rise of Skywalker was not great, but I was very hopeful for The Mandalorian. I liked Mandalorian Season 1. I loved Mandalorian Season 2. And then we waited ages. I liked The Bad Batch. I still love The Bad Batch. But for me, Kenobi really did a number on how I see Disney Star Wars content going forward. And I don't think I'll ever get back the feeling I had before Mando 2. I was like, that was about the time my channel started growing, but I loved all the build up. I was like desperate for crumbs and clips, and a part of me who's a Star Wars Rebels fan has that for Ahsoka, but at the same time I'm reminding myself, but it's not Rebels Season 5, is it? It's a show that is trying to appeal to those fans, but it's not going to have the magic because, you can see through the cracks of
Well,
Disney problems at the moment.
our friend
And I
Jason
just,
has
I
joined.
can't get myself hyped for any of the shows or any of the films the way I was for Mando Season 2 or The Last Jedi.
So I would, going into Mandalorian Season 1, there's no expectation at all, right? Like, we don't know. This is the first time we've ever seen a live streaming, like, live action streaming Star Wars show. Prior to The Mandalorian, any live action show we'd had before was either like the Ewok movies back in the day. I certainly expected them to be better than that just for the era that they were created in. But that show blew me away. And so it did raise the bar. Hey, Jason. I would just say it raised the bar for what I could hope Star Wars live action to be. Like, oh my God, like this is fantastic. And it was something I could introduce my family to Star Wars with, things I could share with my dad. Like, it was absolutely amazing. And I will say that Kenobi and Boba Fett have realigned my expectations that it's a television show. It's direct to consumer. And so once I realign myself to say direct to consumer, and you go back to what that's meant up to now, like when DVD got released direct to consumer and never went to theater, what, you know?
I think though with what you're saying, I actually found Book of Boba Fett to be pretty good. I said at the time, I didn't like the finale, but rewatching it, I think it has a lot of heart that Kenobi doesn't. It's not the perfect story, but when you look at it, let's say in comic book form, that's a very Boba Fett story, meeting a random Ithorian mayor, trying to take power, coming across Black Chrysanthemum and the Hutts. And so I don't have as many issues with Boba Fett, and neither with the visual effects. To me, that didn't ground how I view it. For me, it was Kenobi. That was just like, I think it was the chase scene with Leia in the park that for me was like, what is going on? And I kind of had rose-colored glasses at the time, metaphorically speaking.
Right.
I was looking at it like, oh, of course it's going to get better. And part 6 was great. So it took me a while to come down to the realization that these shows, aside from Andor, which I loved, I just don't think Disney gets it. And I feel more and more detached from fans who seem to think everything they put out is amazing. And I'm seeing that a lot. I see people sort of defend these creative decisions. And the weirdest one for me was Mando season 3, because I thought everyone who's a Star Wars fan would be on board with the fact that at least you'd say it's very different to the first two. But then you have fans telling me that it's like the logical payoff from the first 2 seasons. And the irony of me saying this is palpable, but I kind of miss Cara Dune.
Yeah. Well, look, you and I are different pages on Mando season 3. Very, very different places on it. And I think maybe it's that I readjusted my expectation of what a direct-to-consumer Star Wars would be. But I feel like the comment you said about like they don't get it, I think that's unfair in my perspective, only because the people working on it have, many of them, especially even in Mando season 3, were there during the original trilogy working alongside George Lucas doing the work. So we had a lot of the same people that were there from the very beginning working on it here. With Kenobi, Ian was involved in the writing, directing of it. So it's not just like, oh, Deborah Chow doesn't understand Star Wars, or Kathleen
Deborah Chow needs to listen.
Doesn't understand Star Wars. Some of the people creating this content have been there since the original trilogy, and they're putting their heart, soul, sweat, and tears
visual
into
effects
it.
people, though, that are been there
but,
since the original.
But that's where a lot of the complaints come from.
Yeah,
right? Like the visual effects suck.
But they're not being given the same tools that they were given when they were making Return of the Jedi compared to.
But do you think they just don't get it? Do you think
they don't get it?
Yeah, I think they get it. I do think they get it.
I just don't think they understand what Star Wars is, because Star Wars isn't how good you can make an alien look or how good the visual effects are. It's the storytelling. And they seem to forget the point of Star Wars is to tell legendary, time-tested stories that give people hope. And to me, there hasn't been a single one under Disney, even though I've liked some of them.
That's exactly what they said to George Lucas, though, when he made the prequels, Meg. That's what they say every time they make something new.
The story of the prequels was different. The story of the prequel still had the heart, I think.
No,
but upon
disagree with you.
release, upon release, people were adamant. I agreed. I thought it did, but like the Star Wars Santas, they were like, nope, this ain't it, bro.
Yeah.
And that's where it becomes impossible because it's so big that I know this is generic, but you can't please everyone. It literally mostly applies to Star Wars because of the audience size. Like there's some people that just get attached to certain elements and then think that's Star Wars for me. Therefore, Book of Boba Fett should be Star Wars for me when it's not. That's why I am resigned that Star Wars fandom will suck forever.
Yeah,
it will never get better for that reason alone.
I agree with you.
I definitely.
I'm sorry, Nick. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, not at all. I definitely agree with you. Yeah, we have a problem in the fandom, but with genuine criticism that's in good faith, such as I'm not liking some of the shows because I feel as though, or fans feel as though, there's something lacking. I think is something Disney should pay attention to. And as you say, how can they? Because we all have different opinions. Some fans of the prequels. Star Wars is just so many things. So I guess they're doing, as Santa said, the best they can, putting everything they can into it.
Well, they have a real problem where, in terms of like that layer between them and fans, they tend to pick the butt kissers, and then they get really like brought in like really close. And I don't like it when people go, "You're a shill" and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, these are people though who would love to be a shill if it actually existed. If it actually if they actually did the payout and actually rewarded people. These people would be, but that's what they end up doing is they just end up kind of like going like, oh, because all audiences are imagined. You cannot possibly know all like bajillion Star Wars fans, right? So you end up imagining, well, if I was making Star Wars today, I would think, oh, what's Santa gonna think when I kill Rex here? What's May gonna think? Like but who they end up getting in their brain for that stuff is not representative of the general consumer whatsoever.
I agree with you 100%, Jason. And first of all, Star Wars Mania. Thank you for the comment. And I'm having fun at Star Wars Theory's expense. He jokes with himself about that as well, like the bricks and screws comment. It was a funny comment. We've had a lot of fun with it. He does have a point about not wanting it to be too much like you're living on Earth, which has been some criticisms of even the Mandalorian, where it's like, this was shot in California. I can tell. Like there's things like that. But as far as the precision of the bricks and screws, he was just wrong. Right? The screws that are in there were in the original trilogy. The screws have always been there. Like flathead screws are visible throughout Star Wars. So that's where the fun is. All right. It's like, okay, he said something funny, but he does have a point. He does have a point.
I will say though, with Theory's thing, not to defend anyone on any side here, but I get where he's coming from. As the biggest Andor fan you'll meet, I'm going to say I do understand where he's coming from. Because, yeah, we had bricks and screws in the Spain scenes, Naboo, in Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace and things like that. They used Kent in England for a deleted scene at that castle. But I think with Andor, there are times where it did feel like Earth. But to me, that makes it a stronger show.
I agree.
To me, that made it like, okay, we're taking this seriously.
Well,
it's middle class Star Wars.
Well, to have different planets and different cultures and different places in their evolution makes total sense. It's a bigger galaxy, and you see that through the animation. We're fans of the animation, right? We're fans of general. Rob's not here, so he doesn't count. But the three of us, right? General fans of the animation. There are episodes in animation where they have no technology whatsoever, right? They've got clubs and
there's
rocks.
An episode with a guy called the Great Haizu. Right. You just can't judge the galaxy because it's just Alice in Wonderland.
Right. So
I love that episode. That's when 3PO, and that's the 3PO episode, isn't it? The Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Like the Great Haizu is dead.
Yeah. So it's fine that we have planets, and for Pete's sake, the Ewoks, like, end of discussion, right? So I'm fine with that, but we do need to have diverse planets. It'd be great if we had a planet with more than one biome, but anyway, there's that.
But once you say what Star Wars is and what it's not, you're wrong.
Yeah,
You just failed because all you've done now is just challenge somebody to go, well, there's a brick planet.
Right.
A screw planet.
That's right.
You know what I mean? This is a clothespin planet. Like there will be a clothespin planet someday. Watch, I've called it. It'll be like squeezing things and they open up and things go in and people live in there.
I have a question for you. Are you a fan of Suspense?
Sure.
Okay, because I was trying to put into words something I love about Andor, but I never found the right way to put it until I saw two films that are very different genres that kind of exemplify it. The fact that Andor never shows Palpatine is one of the most powerful devices to make the Empire seem so powerful. And I can't remember the horror film. Someone in the chat might know this. There's a horror film where you're trying to figure out if the person's crazy or if there is like the devil behind the door, like the literal embodiment of a devil who was kidnapped, a guy. And they never show what's behind the door. And that makes the film so creepy.
Yeah.
And with Andor never showing the highest tier of the Empire, you get the best idea of how menacing it is to everyone else.
Yeah, it's a lot scarier, like on and like the Andor side of things, because if Andor did walk into a room and Palpatine was there, you're like, why doesn't he just take a shiv out and just shiv over and over again? But it's impossible. You can't.
We talked about this before as well, but I wanted to just reinforce what Jason said a minute ago. It would behoove Lucasfilm to have some folks on the team who are naysayers, right? People who push back against the idea rather than too many yes men. It feels to me like within Lucasfilm
inside that's what that story group is a peer review group. That's all you do. That's literally all. Like they don't ever let us in there. But if you've ever been part of like a peer review writers group or an editorial board, that's all that it actually is.
But are they doing that?
Yeah.
Are they pushing back? Are they saying no?
Yes. Yeah. Nobody gets to say no. Nobody owns this, so nobody gets no. But what they do is they do have to actually like argue it out and say like this is a bad direction for story wise and stuff like. So it does exist. But when you get the problem, like I was saying before, is those people, in my opinion, Star Wars fans, I'm going to be honest with you. Some of you are stupid, very, very stupid when it comes to storytelling. I was stupid too, but you got to read some like books on structure. You got to read Truby. You got to go and like understand like how the process works if you're going to like delve into it and criticize it, especially I think. Yeah. But in that, I've been stupid too. But in that process, so a lot of them just aren't professors. They're never going to go and care what we say on Twitter. Not necessarily.
Here's the other thing. We may be making arguments that they've already made and they've worked through. We don't have the conversation of how they got from our argument, like this is dumb, they shouldn't have done this, to how they already addressed that in the room. They may have argued it out and came to a solution. We just don't know it. And which may be a shortfall of the storytellers, because they leave us with that question at the end of the day. So I'll say that.
But just one last thing though, it's like the problem comes in between getting money to make something, a wild idea to go, yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to put the money into it. And then it actually being creatively inspired. Because if you look at just Disney's strategy every single time is middle of the road, just hold your hands out and hope that you get the most cash as you're going through.
True.
But so there's not like a lot of huge risks that go on. And but how do you get those people in that little council, so to speak, to hear what people are saying?
Yeah.
And then when you have idiots who come out and go, oh, it's because they're trying to turn it into the Star Wars herstory and all that kind of stuff, then people stop hearing the whole like critique. Like Last Jedi is my favorite of the sequel trilogy. It is critiquable, but the critiques were not heard because the morons went out and just said the stupidest things, racist things, and then the discussion was shut down. So congratulations, bad guys, you won there.
And Jason, the sad thing about all of this is that's just it. You know, we're talking about media literacy. We're talking about, well, who gets the most views on YouTube and various sites. They're the ones that the majority of the online people see, even if they're not making sense. I mean, we talked about channels who get really big off complete negativity and they don't understand how the industry works.
Yeah.
And it's so sad that they can get, you know, 500, 600, 700 times the amount of views that any of us get on their stuff. And yet we're the ones trying to argue this out as friends or try and bring something to the table that's logical. That to me is really kind of heartbreaking because that's just the social media landscape we live in.
You're exactly right. And we have a holy moly super chat coming up. We'll talk about in just a second. I want to agree with exactly what you guys are saying. And I've already seen it for the Ahsoka beginning here, that some of the critique of Rosario Dawson, people were calling her like a creature, not a person, right?
What?
Yeah, because there are those people, right, who don't see a person of color as a person.
Wait, they're calling the actor?
Yeah,
like they're or they're calling Ahsoka a creature.
Well, I just read, I'm like everybody else, I'm going through Twitter, X, whatever, and I'm looking through, and somebody clipped a thing from somebody, and then they commented. I don't have the full context of it, but if your conversation says that Rosario Dawson is a creature, not a person, Rosario Dawson, then you're somebody I don't want to talk to.
Yeah.
If you're saying that Ahsoka is a creature because you don't know quite that she's a Togrutan, you're like, she's not a human. I don't know. What do you call that? Then okay, but
yeah. And for the record, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
you're an absurd person.
But that's what we deal with in the fandom.
With a poop brain,
right?
At that point,
then people see that and they're like, okay, we're not listening to you. And then they group everybody, and that's what a lot of people complain. Like, nobody wants to be grouped in with the idiots if you're not an idiot, and they say, "Oh, you're one of those idiots." Oh, that's not fair, and it's wrong. And I don't care which side of the argument you're on, it's unfair and wrong. A lot of people who love the sequels do that to people who hate the sequels, and people who hate the sequels do that to people who love it.
What a loser you are. Yeah. If you're like, I'm going to go and hurt somebody's feelings because they don't like the same movie as me, you're a freaking loser at that point. You're pathetic. Look, it's so lame.
They're all losers, the people who say things.
We talked about it yesterday. Josh,
if you guys like The Matrix, that movie sucks in my opinion, but you guys enjoy it all you want. I don't care. Live your best dumb movie life in your room by yourself.
Josh Lucas yesterday put a tweet out, and we talked about it a lot yesterday. And
switch Lucas.
But it's just that there's a lot of room for us to be less mean to one another, right? Barry, I want to get to your comment because this is something I think Meg cares about a lot, and I want to get her input on it. But also, holy smokes, a 70 Canadian super chat from our friend Konshu66. Holy moly. Konshu, dude.
That was very nice, Konshu.
Thank you so much. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you. It says, I'm in my early 50s. Hey, I'm 56. You're right behind me. I was there for A New Hope at 6. I was 10. So there you go. I have some issues with the sequels and some of the live action shows. But at my age, I consider myself fortunate to have this much Star Wars content after a drought between Return of the Jedi's and the prequels. Amen,
That's
brother.
my perspective.
Amen.
That's mine too.
And look, you go back to the Ewok movies, they're beloved because they filled a void. You look at a lot of the EU novels that are out there, they're beloved primarily because there was a void. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, the Timothy Zahn Thrawn trilogy was my sequels for decades. Why? Because there was a void. And when the sequels come out and they're not the Thrawn trilogy, then you have to readjust and be like, wait, this isn't what I knew. And Meg put a fantastic, it was a survey or it was a quiz, so to speak, this week about when was the Battle on Mustafar first mentioned, right? Wasn't that it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember because back in the day, we were talking about the story came out and people started talking about it, how Vader fell into volcano or into lava.
The answer
Yeah, you did
it was a
with
Star Wars poster book.
with
It was the
Obi-Wan.
Star Wars poster book in 1977.
Yeah, there was a thing about Obi-Wan and Vader, like and Anakin fell into lava
And it
because of the
also
thing.
said the stormtroopers were clones in 77 in that
Yeah.
same poster book series.
So we started filling our head with this information because there was a big vacuum. What's fantastic now is that this Disney Plus streaming content is way better. Go back and put yourself in our shoes, like in Khan's shoe, Jason, myself, Rob. Put
I was
yourself in
negative.
our shoes.
I was -2 though, for the record, when 77, -2.
Really?
Yeah. I was
Negative
just
two. Yeah.
-2. I wasn't even alive.
Yeah. Meg's parents were probably
One of my
Negative.
like
My
earliest.
my mum
Yeah.
was 7 when A New Hope came out.
There you go. Very good. Same age as Khonshu, basically. Khonshu's your dad. No, I kid. No, I know about your dad.
What's your mom doing later?
I don't know. I don't want to make light of that. Anyway, Khonshu, thank you so much for the super chat. And Meg, we had the question about Anakin. What will
Yes.
Anakin's now? To be clear, and Jason, you joined us a little bit late. We do not want to jump into spoilers yet. We're going to hold off spoilers till later.
Anakin dies.
This is
Again.
He does. Deal with it.
hilarious. But Anakin's involvement in this series. What do you think? I know, Meg, you think it's important that he be a major part of it, or at least a regular part of it. How would you put it?
I think it's important he's acknowledged the importance of him being Ahsoka's master. But I guess it's a balance, isn't it? Like, it's not Anakin's story, but he should have some kind of role in flashbacks or as a ghost. I do think, though, this show is going to be like more cameos than Mando season 2.
Oh, okay. We need to define cameos. First of all,
True. I think in my head that made sense, but I think I just made a big leap.
okay, but we could get there. Jason, how do you? Where are you on the Anakin involvement? How important is it to the series that Anakin be
to Ahsoka's series?
Yeah,
yeah. She has to. Ahsoka has to have these anxieties that are very, very real to her in her relationship to Sabine or to Ezra or to Jason Syndulla, any of those potential candidates, based off of the fact that, your old professor became Space Hitler. Like, that's a big deal. Like, so that's where it should be felt. And that's where I think it will be felt. But in terms of Anakin himself, like, he's a ghost. How many movies can we think of, though, where the ghost is flying a spaceship or fighting alongside? So in terms of that kind of stuff, it's like, I think it has to be felt in the emotional resonance, but I don't think that there's going to be like a lot of room for there to be like, hey, Snips, and he sits down and starts eating some dinner with her or something. And they go like, I don't see that visually working or thematically working in any way. And I can't think of another. I mean, think of like Macbeth or something. I mean, with the ghost.
Let me put it in Star Wars terms.
What is it?
Yeah, put it in Star Wars terms. What about the Luke Obi-Wan kind of relationship through the original trilogy? Like, Obi-Wan was alongside him in the trench run. Obi-Wan was there when he was on Hoth, right? Obi-Wan was there as a mentor guide.
That's what I'm saying. Is they come in, they have it's like a spiritual that way movement, and then they bounce. They're not there. I mean, we do get the Return of the Jedi explanation.
Yeah.
Scene.
Yeah.
That would be cool if we got that in this show, but I also don't know if we would or not. But
that's the question that I was building into.
I have a prediction.
Yeah.
I think episode 8 is going to do all this stuff. It's going to be Thrawn. Ahsoka's going to need some help to build up courage to fight him or something. And then, she turns around after hearing "Hey, Snips." And it's the Qui-Gon Force Ghost moment of the Ahsoka series.
That's what I was
And
gonna
everyone's
say.
going to screenshot that and make it into a meme.
Yeah,
And then we'll forget about it in 4 months.
So the Qui-Gon in Kenobi, you're thinking similar kind of thing with Anakin in Ahsoka?
I do, but didn't Bespin, or was it Jason who said that there's Vader flashbacks?
Yeah. Let's be careful about the spoilers, but yes.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. You didn't step over a line too far. The question, I still just kind of want to make it as clear as we can. Anakin in Ahsoka, more like Obi-Wan and Luke in the original trilogy, or more like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon in Kenobi? What do you think?
It's neither, though, because she has like issues. She has baggage from him, about him. Whereas like Luke's not necessarily being like Obi-Wan Kenobi, that SOB. He's not like, that's not, and Qui-Gon's not like that either. I mean, he is like, you lied to me, and he's like, from a certain point of view, and he's like, this guy's a good lawyer. That's pretty much like the most tension we have between Obi-Wan and Luke the whole time. So it's completely different. And if that's where there's a huge opportunity, I think. Like if they want to explore that and like deal with that, you know what I mean? And because Anakin atones with his son, who's just a deadbeat dad. Let's be real about it. He's just a deadbeat dad. At the end of the day, he's like, look, man, I see what I could have been. I see it in you. And then they kind of have that moment, and then he fades away and he burns the costume. Okay, like that's it. But Ahsoka has no atonement with Anakin. She leaves because they threw her under the bus pretty much, and really Anakin should have left with her at that moment. That would have been the more the right thing to do. Go, this stuff is all broken, and that would have been the actual right outcome from the whole thing in the big picture. But how do you get atonement? So that's like the big question here. How does she get atonement? Now you could say she gets it through the apprentice. She could, like, if she takes on an apprentice, and then Jason Syndulla, let's say, just for the argument. Yeah. And then he grows up to be a good person, and then maybe now her faith in humanity is restored, or creaturedom, whatever you want to call it. But but if we're gonna look, are we looking for atonement here between Ahsoka and Anakin?
I think a lot of people want to see that.
Yeah. How?
And Anakin to return to be her mentor in a Kenobi to Luke relationship. But Meg, is that where you are?
She's not a Padawan, though. She's fully, like, she's been at this for years. You know what I'm saying, though? That's where it's weird. She doesn't. I don't know if she needs a master like Luke Skywalker. Yoda doesn't show up to Luke for years in The Last Jedi.
I really want Yoda in this series.
I know you do. You mentioned
remember the way that Yoda in Rebels from Dagobah, when he's still alive, just gives her a little wave.
But are you hoping to see a Kenobi Luke relationship between Anakin and Ahsoka in the series? I
think Jason's changed my mind. I think he's brought up a really good point that it's a very different sort of relationship, because I don't even think they need to do the atonement thing. She might find out through Luke. I think because she knows Luke now. And also, there was that thing, the whole purpose of her going to these Jedi temples is tying into why she sent Grogu to Tython. She tried to reach out to Ezra from these places. You don't think along the way she would have tried to reach out to Anakin? So that's why I'm thinking it might be the Qui-Gon thing. He finally responds at the end. Maybe she does something.
Excellent. Touch base on a couple of things. KG, hello. Happy birthday. Very good.
Birthday.
It's fantastic. We have another supporter's birthday today. Astromech Jeremy is birthday today. So happy birthday, Jeremy.
Jeremy's 9 years old. Happy KG. Birthday, big guy.
Yeah.
9 years old in dog years.
No, happy birthday, you guys. We really appreciate your support. You're wonderful people in wonderful parts of the community.
They're birthday buds.
They are. They are. I
You guys are
love
birthday
them.
buds.
KG is fantastic, and she's been wonderful. So thank you for that. And we have a super chat for later, so we'll get back to that as well. Mumbo Jimbo says I can save it for Spoiler Town when we get there. So kind of get back to the series, and I'm excited to hear how that went for you, Meg, because I know, as we've talked before, you were more of the Luke to Anakin or Luke to Kenobi kind of relationship, and I think Jason makes a lot of sense. You know, he really spoils our fun by making sense too many times.
I like Jason's articles. I think Jason's articles are the best in terms of Star Wars journalism, because so many journalists out there pad their articles with just nonsense. I'm not talking about Bespin. Bespin's great as well, but like other ones outside of our circles, they just they give you the whole story of the character before getting to the point. And yet Jason just goes straight in. Jason gives it to you raw.
Yeah, you raw dog it. You have to go. Well, the problem with entertainment and journalism is sometimes it is just a very simple, stupid story. But Google requires 300 words to be searched. You can't if you're under 300 words, you won't make it to the Google search. So those people, they end up just writing a bunch of fluff. So I always try to go in and then try to just wait until I have enough stuff to talk about before I do an article. That way, it's not so bad. But
I have to thank Anthony for his comment. Thank you for that, Anthony, about Jason, Meg, and myself. I'm not going to put it on screen.
I'm dumb.
Because Meg will read it wrong, and then and I'll turn red and be embarrassed.
I've already thought of that.
Let's not.
I saw us sleeping like the Three Stooges, so that's how I looked at it.
Okay, that was much more innocent. I think Kev asked a really good question earlier about how did Anakin become a Force ghost. It's in the Legends book. Is it Legends or is it canon? I can never remember if this one is canon, but it's basically the legend of Darth Vader or whatever. And it basically is like, as Anakin dies in Return of the Jedi, he hears a familiar voice, Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan says, "Anakin, you need to listen to me before your conscience dies out." And he basically gives him instructions, and then he becomes Force Ghost. And they actually acknowledge in a really funny way why Obi-Wan looks old and why Anakin is Revenge of the Sith Anakin. Because it's when you died, it was the last time you were a Jedi, isn't it? That's what you look like. And Anakin wasn't actually a Jedi, I guess, till he dies in Return of the Jedi. So,
and until we see Ewan McGregor play the Force Ghost because Alec Guinness isn't around.
I don't want that. I really don't want to see
time.
that.
Give it time. It's inevitable.
There's a George Lucas answer, and then there's an in-universe answer, because like
I have a copy of that early draft, and in the early draft, they were fighting. The Emperor's throne room was underground in that concept art, the Macquarie with the lava pits on the side.
Yeah.
The ghost of Yoda and Obi-Wan pop up. They fade in, and then Palpatine's like, "Oh no, it's those guys." He's freaking out because that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And then that's when Anakin, Darth Vader, looks at Palpatine's like, "This is my shot." And he runs. Vader runs, grabs Palpatine, bear hugs him, and drops into the lava, killing himself and Palpatine.
And then he starts singing, "I gotta take my shot."
And then, Obi-Wan's spirit is what brings him at that point. He takes him, and then I don't know how they were going to film that or how they were going to depict it, but Obi-Wan's spirit in that moment is what pulls Anakin, and then he's with them.
Jason, that's not the version I've heard. See, the version I've heard is all of that, except it's not Yoda and Obi-Wan's Force Ghost that distracts Palpatine. Vader goes, "Hey, look, is that a Krispy Kreme van?" And Palpatine goes, "Where?" And then Vader lifts him up and goes, "You jam guzzling son of a bitch!" And then he throws him. Yeah,
I heard he throws him like a football too. He's like,
"Hey,
runs after him."
Khonshu sent us another 14 Canadian. Thank you for that, Khonshu. Way too generous. And
you got Khonshu 66th.
I'm telling you what, he's amazing. It says Ahsoka has a lot of trauma to deal with. That's true. And based on the early reviews that we've seen, it seems that perhaps that's reflected in her character. It's consistent with how we are introduced to her, which is a good thing, I think. says, just like Luke said to Mando, he wants your permission. Right? Ahsoka needs Anakin to give Ahsoka permission to forgive herself and heal. Ooh, that's a deep one. I love that.
Meg brings up brought up a really good point about Luke, because when Ahsoka first sees Luke and then finds out what happened, that's when she knows that like the guy that she grew up with, like that was like her space dad, was still there and did the right thing in the end. So the Luke moment might have more bearing on that potential relationship if they want it to, but it all depends on how they write Ahsoka interacting with the moment. If she really gets to that moment, does Luke really explain it to her? Do they talk it out? Does Anakin show up for that? Like there is all of that right there could potentially like pop up, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, and by the way, a couple of people have been analyzing the autograph on the Sabine actor's birthday card. Remember the one that was like the one that wasn't signed?
Don't break my heart, Jason. Don't break my heart.
Okay, well, no. For the record, we went through and we were digging into it this week, and we were looking at Hayden Christensen's autographs, and I am more of the opinion that that's Hayden's signature and not Mark Hamill's. That was like a big story that kept coming up. They both do their weird capitals in the same way, but there's one word that is exactly the same. You could overlay it and it matches. So I think the unsigned birthday card thing is Hayden's, by the way. I'm convinced.
We're going to switch over into spoilery mode here in a moment, and so we can talk more about the predictions. We can talk about the spoilers, the leaks, all the things in just a moment. But before we do that, Matt Risman sent a $5 super chat. Thank you, Matt. And Matt, thank you for all your support. Sending us the articles and everything really is tremendous. So thank you. Do you think we'll see both Luke and Anakin in Ahsoka at the same time? That's
deliberate wording.
Yeah, it is. If she's lucky.
I think Dave is the one who's trying to insert himself into Ahsoka. As Trapper Wolf, of course.
Yeah. And this is the scene where Trapper Wolf shows up and he's Ahsoka's secret boyfriend. Like, no, Dave. No, Dave, you can't do it. You're not allowed.
You're terrible. I do want to let folks know that if you don't want any spoilers, you would like to other than hearing that some folks liked it and there's some concerns, then now would be time to call it a day. We've had a great time so far, and if you can't hang out for the spoilers, we understand. We absolutely understand. But there's we do a little predictions game here on the show, and I'm getting ready to release the episode 1 and episode 2 predictions game form, as well as we have
I'm gonna win. I got it.
No, you're not. We have another one that is for the season as a whole predictions, and some of the spoilers that have come out are going to affect the scoring on those.
Did you say whole?
With a W.
Okay. Cool.
Fill that hole.
So we're going to talk about the predictions game. We're going to talk about some rumors and spoilers and all of that. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, a fantastic weekend, and we'll catch you after this. The episode airs Tuesday
at 6.
So exciting! I can't wait.
At 6, Jason Ward time.
6 Jason Ward time. 9 Star Wars Santa time. So it's great.
And is it 2 Star Wars Meg time? Is that what it was? 2 a.m. Star Wars Meg time?
Yeah. It is. Meg will be
6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. In case I'm confusing anybody.
Yeah.
You can do the math in there.
That's 4 p.m. on Mars.
Fair.
All right, so here we go.
Going.
We're going to jump into some of these, and let's start with the super chat. So I got to scroll up to get to it because now it's kind of where to go. Here it is. Super chat. I would love to see a flashback and ghost scenes with Anakin, but is it just her hearing his voice like in a TV spot? So there's a couple things. In the one TV spot, you can kind of hear Vader's breath in the background when she's facing off against Balin, and I don't think that that's likely that that's actually there when we actually get to that scene. But who knows? Maybe it is. I doubt it.
That sounds like that sounds like a trailer thing. Yeah,
But
to me.
the other thing, and it came up in one of the videos I watched on preparing for the series, is there was a lot of talk early on when we first got the logo, and people said, "Oh, look, that's a World Between Worlds," and I said, "No, it's not." And then I think that I've convinced Meg that logo is not the World Between Worlds, but I think there are still people who think that the World Between Worlds is a big portion of the show, or a pivotal moment of the show anyway. But I'm starting to think, and this is, Jason, I got to get you to clarify this because people are quoting you on this.
Mm-hmm.
The scene that you mentioned before, or Meg mentioned earlier, of seeing Anakin on Mustafar.
Yeah.
The initial thought was that was perhaps a World Between Worlds.
We just know she sees it. Yeah,
portal.
we just know that they filmed that for her to see.
Yeah,
and that's why I don't know if it's a little kid Ahsoka who sees it, if it's the adult. There was somebody saying there was like a little kid Ahsoka involved in it and stuff like that. I know there's multiple Ahsokas, but I don't know.
But the question is, the World Between Worlds isn't a given, is it?
I don't think so.
I don't think you or Bespin have anything saying that the World Between Worlds is a plot element in
it was
the
all
series.
it was all circumstantial kind of stuff that was like, this seems like that's what it is. This thing that happens fits that kind of thing. But I know it's not like for sure confirmed 1000%. It's not a multiverse adventure, which is something like somebody took the article I did, perverted it into their own little thing, calling it a multiverse adventure. It's not. It's definitely not. So,
it could just be visions, right?
It could be visions. The witch could give her the vision. The you know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's all kinds of potential there for how that gets into her mind, into how she sees these moments and these scenes.
Could you guys imagine if
Mhm.
we're hyping this up and it's like 4 seconds of the episode?
That's what I think it is. That's what I've been saying the whole time. Is it's not the episode. The episode, like, they're not remaking Star Wars Rebels in for starters. The thing I know for certain is that the Vader team was reassembled. That's what I know. And then what it sounds like is that they were remaking that scene. That's just what it sounds like. I don't know what they're doing with Darth Vader.
So I am leaning more and more that the World Between Worlds is not even going to be in it at all. And the reason I think that is I started to again, as we've been thinking about this, we've been going back and looking at quotes and looking at evidence and trying to understand better so we get ready for the show. Dave does not describe. In fact, he goes to great efforts to say that the World Between Worlds is not a multiverse.
Yeah.
And if what we were seeing in that scene was Ahsoka confronting Anakin on Mustafar instead of, or in addition to, Obi-Wan on Mustafar, to me that rules out the World Between Worlds instead of making it possible, because then that would suggest the World Between Worlds is a multiverse situation, and Dave has been pretty specific about saying it's not. So in my mind, that's more of Ahsoka grappling with the issues that she has and getting these visions of the what if, maybe in dreams or
meditation sequences. It's possible.
Something like that. Yeah. Meg, am I off base? What do you think?
No, I think you're in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Because the thing for me is just geography, space geography.
Yeah.
We are in the core worlds for 4, I believe, and then for the last 4, we end up in the new place that we never been, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think, anyways. That's how I've heard it. And so I don't know how you necessarily get to this new place and then just go down the corner and there's a World Between Worlds portal right here. Come on in. That's the thing. I don't know if that really makes sense for in that layout. You know what I mean? And that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
And real quick for Anthony, I've seen you post this several times. I just want to touch base on it. Luke and Obi-Wan, I think most of us see as a mentor-mentee relationship because when we saw them on the Falcon, Obi-Wan was teaching Luke. Secondly, when he, like, in his ear tells him, trust the Force, Luke, in the trench run, that's a mentor kind of role. And lastly, I would say even, or maybe not even lastly, but a third example would be in Hoth when he's like nearly dying. Obi-Wan saying, hey, dude, get up. You're not done, right? So that's, and I know he didn't say that.
Get up. He said, get up,
right.
champ.
Right. All right. But anyway, I think it's more of a mentor, but there's room for different visions of that. And then Scotty asked this, and I wanted to get it before it scrolled too far away. Just get to this Eye of Sion thing already. So, wow. The Eye of Sion. There's so many questions. So many questions. Sion, Darth Sion, and again, thanks to Matt Risman for pointing out Darth Sion, because I wasn't that in touch with that character. And when you go and you look at Darth Sion, he's got this jacked up eye kind of situation. Darth Sion is expanded universe legends now. What do you think of this? So first of all, for those that don't know, and we're in spoiler town here, this Eye of Sion supposedly is a hyperdrive or a portal to get somebody to.
I've heard it's a hyperdrive with like 4 or 5 engines on it. It actually is like 4. I think I heard it was 5 engines, but maybe it was 4. I need to check my notes.
And maybe it's got calculation, like, you know, the navigational computers on the starships and stuff help them access the hyperspace lanes, so they, you know, they have to plot their course. Perhaps this Eye of Sion hyperdrive ring, presumably it's a big old ring that we see. We don't know that for sure that that's it, but that's
it's part of it.
That's the thought.
Like I said, and it has a bunch of.
We can see a couple of them in the scene, right? And perhaps they're building it out more. They're whatever, but presumably that hyperdrive ring is programmed with the coordinates and the engines to get you there from here.
So yeah, it's 5 engines. The show starts with an opening. It's not an opening crawl, by the way. It's not dun 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 dun. It's like a sideways thing. It, you know, Solo's like fades out. It's not like Solo. Yeah. I asked for clarification. It basically says that the Empire's fallen. Agents are undermining peace. A plot is underway to find Thrawn, which would galvanize the Imperial remnant. Ahsoka Tano has captured one of Thrawn's allies, Morgan Elsbeth, and she has learned of a map. That's not the crawl verbatim. That's really close though. It's really close.
The gist of it. That's the gist of it. So the Eye of Sion, is it tied to? Is this just Dave Filoni giving a nod to EU fans saying, "Look there, I used a thing."
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah,
he ain't gonna show up. He's dead. It's just like, you know, like it's like some hillbillies going like, this is George Washington's tank. This is the tank of Washington because I'm a patriot. So it's just evil. It's evil patriotism, right? It's calling back to the founding fathers of evil.
The Eye of Sauron. The first thing I thought of was the Eye of Sauron, and we have seen other parallels to the Lord of the Rings in other live action shows, not adaptations. Let's be clear of that, right? Not adaptations of the Lord of the Rings, but parallels. And my good friend Will Morgan of Meta Egg pointed out one of them really good is like Frodo going up above the treetops and looking out, and then you get this scene of Luke going up and looking above the treetops and looking out. They're very similar parallels here and there. Eye of Sauron had meaning in that it was the symbol of evil. It was over bearing presence of evil. I don't think we're talking about that at all. So any reference to the Eye of Sauron would just be, again, just having a little nod to Lord of the Rings, not any kind of adaptation, right?
And Corellia is confirmed in episode 2.
Yes. So that's the place of the Eye of Sauron. Is Sauron. Ha ha ha. See what you
Scion.
did? Scion. The place of the Eye of Scion is there, which we were kind of trying to put together trailer pieces the other day. And Jason, on your show, you kind of went through it as well.
Mm-hmm.
It follows along with kind of what we put together in those trailer pieces, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It all tracks, and it's like it all makes sense. One of the things we were trying to solve for a long time is what is Morgan like doing? Why haven't they gone yet? What are they doing to get there? We assumed that the shipyard was part of the project to get that. Like right when the very first time we saw the shipyard, we were like, that must be it. And it turns out like we kind of complicated it in our minds as time went on, but that's essentially it. They're Imperial sympathizers on Corellia, and they're helping out. They're helping make this engine to bring their boy home. But you know what made me excited was Jai Kell being in it. That's cool.
I saw you put that in there.
He's in there.
Now, who is he?
In Star Wars Rebels, when Ezra Bridger goes and becomes the cadet and has to get the decoder device, and remember he has to go through the training where they're like jumping on platforms and stuff. There's like 2 boys with him, and he's one of the like one boy's dark skin, one boy's light skin. He's a light skin boy, and he ends up like basically like helping Ezra sabotage the thing. Remember they end up getting into the 2-legged ATS like primitive ATD.
Yeah.
And they get into that thing, and they're like, yeah, he's that kid. And at the end, he goes away with them. And apparently in the show, there's like the opening. We have Sabine, and she's just like she's being honored for her, I guess, for her past activities during the Galactic Civil War. She doesn't want anything to do with it, and but we see what's his name, Ryder, and he's there with them.
Yeah. So there's a couple comments I got to get to, and I'm falling way behind. It says, if the world between world exists, there must be some more entrance portals. Well, we know that. We know like Palpatine himself sort of had one where he was shooting at them through the world between worlds, trying to access the world between worlds. And in some manner sort of did access the world between worlds. So we know there are other portals for sure. But can anybody access it? And will they use it again? Right? That's really the question. And Will says, how could the research for Ezra and the world between worlds not be mentioned? Just because they don't. That's how you do that.
Yeah.
And then Matt Risman, so much homework, so little time. No, you're not kidding there. We'll get to these predictions in just a moment.
I like Sam. Pass, you shall not, from Yoda. Like that. Pretty good.
Well, I like that. Let's see. I got to get caught up. I'm like 60 messages behind.
Yeah.
There's Skywalker. Darth Sion gave his right eye for information to build a hyperdrive ring that would navigate the barriers of the unknown. I think that's a loose interpretation, but I think it works. Like I read a lot about Darth Sion yesterday when this was pointed out to me. I was like, it doesn't specifically say that, but it's not too far off. Not too far off. Yeah, there it is. I hope Ahsoka says to Merrick, "You shall not pass." She jumps through the window, right? She crashes through the window. She jumps down, and that's what she tells him. "You shall not pass." I love that. What else? Let's see. Dude's eyeball. Snoke. Oh, okay. You guys are having fun. Let's see. Ryder. There you go. Writer. Vanessa, thank you for that. This is something that we pointed out on Discord yesterday. Our friend Mark was hazing me about it. But I did mention writer. We had an episode, a live stream. Oh, it's been a couple months ago probably, and we speculated about cameos we could see, and I brought up Ryder Azadi. We need to see Ryder Azadi. If it's continuation of Rebels, Ryder makes a total sense, and now we've had it confirmed.
You
Ryder
win
Azadi.
one ticket, number 75.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll do my victory lap now. Thank you. But it does present us another problem because I've got this predictions game that we do, right? And in here, there's two of them. There's one for the whole season, right? This is for the season where you can make up any kind of prediction that you want.
We learned that Ryder's middle name is Dirty in this, by the way. Ryder Dirty Azadi, that's what they call him. That's you're gonna see. That's my prediction.
So we put on here like the easy points are like we're gonna see Lothal, the stuff we've seen in the trailer, right? The medium points, like the 5-point ones here, we have like things that like you've leaked or that Bestman has leaked. Like we won't see Thrawn in the first 3 episodes. There's going to be a new variant of Stormtrooper. We know that as well. We've seen this from the leaks from Making Star Wars and Bespin Bulletin. So a lot of these things. The hard ones on here, I put a specific cameo of someone. Oh, what happened? It jumped on me. A specific cameo of someone we haven't heard or seen in any leaks, trailers, or news stories. And I gave an example that would be like Ryder Azadi. Like we haven't seen that anywhere. Well, guess what they just did? They took that from being a 10-point question down to a 5-point question. Son of a gun. They took 5 points away from me, Jason.
Yeah. but if you were to guess his middle name was Dirty, you would still get the 10 points, right?
Well, maybe. But
I think that's fair.
So and then we have like 25-point questions. Like you really want to go out there and say like they're going to go into the world between worlds and change the future, like retcon the sequels. They're going to go into the world between worlds and retcon the sequels. If that happens, look, you get 25 points. Great, good for you. But this is a predictions. At the end of the season, we'll add up the points and add them to your point total for predicting every week. But I want to show you, and I got permission from Jason and from Bespin to do this. For every week, we ask these questions about basic stuff, right? Like stuff that Jason can't know for sure, and he has to guess just like us regular mere mortals, you know. And then he gets them wrong all the time.
Every time.
Yeah, there's these where basically anybody is on a fair level playing field with Jason, right? So we only have 10 of those questions this time. We've been having 19 before. Pared it down to 10, and it's good stuff. Yeah, good. Basic Star Wars kind of stuff too, right? Like things that you've seen in movies and shows and things like that. And then we have this. I put this together. We're going to review it today. And then son of a gun, look what they did. So we have no points awarded for saying things that aren't show related. Like this episode's longer than the last episode, or something like that. No points for that kind of thing, or something that's not going to happen. Like Luke Skywalker will not be in this episode, or whatever. You could make up things to. None
of these people have been in my kitchen.
Yeah. So there's that. But then I've got 1 point will be awarded for give me easy unspecified guesses or leaks from Bespin and Making Star Wars. They're fantastic reporters, but their leaks are only worth 1 point. That's all you get.
What?
You would think that they would get more points than that.
Do you know how I should get bonus points for the leaks that I did being right?
Yeah, just one.
Right. No, just one? All right.
Yeah, just one. That's all. But what it does is it puts you on par with trailers, like things that you can observe with your own eyes. They're as accurate as that. They're as sure to happen as things that you've seen with your own eyes in a trailer. leak from Making Star Wars or from Bestman Bulletin. They're right so much that we're counting it the same. So things like that, like Ahsoka will light her sabers. We'll see the ghost. Here's a leak scene. Ahsoka fights. Oh, there it goes. It jumped on me again. Ahsoka, where was it? Fights Anakin on Mustafar.
I'm gonna guess that Ahsoka's lightsabers will turn blue. Do you think? Do you think if she comes back to being a Jedi, do you think her sabers change color? No.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Another
Shut down.
Thrawn's in a new region of space. Like now, you got to get it right for the episode, right? You can't just say that in episode 1 because we know that it's not going to happen in episode 1. But you've got to guess: is it this episode, the next episode, when? So there's that, and then
look what I
had in the 5 pointers here. 5 points awarded for specific defined guesses. All right, a specific cameo appearance not seen in a trailer. Example: Ryder Azadi will be seen in this episode. No, I thought that was a good guess. I was going to get 5 points. Know what they've done? Huh? You know what they've done? They knocked it down to 1 point, one stinking point. So I got to work out a deal with Bestman and Jason to not write stories on things because I put it specific. Like if this was something I just got on my own, I didn't get it from Jason or Bestman. I got it from some filthy leaker out there that knows nothing. Then that's 5 points. But I get it from Jason or Bestman. They take these points away from me. So you guys cannot report. Where's Bestman? Bestman, you cannot report Roger Azadi is in episode 1. Don't do it. Don't do it.
But if you were to report Ryder Dirty Azadi's in it, and that's true, 10 points. So think about it. I suggest you do it, Rob.
There's Rob. Hey, Rob, good to see you. But you could put other things in there that you've not seen. I've got to mark this one down to 1 point, but I've got to put another one in here, like Luke Skywalker will be in this episode. I'll put that in instead.
What if X-Wings are renamed Twitter Wings? That would be weird, right? If it went that way.
Thread Wings. I don't know. So we will be putting these episode predictions out. I've got to make slight adjustments, but look, the bonus points we've kind of changed the structure of them to allow you to earn more points for the more risky guesses, or you can go with the sure, just get 1 point and make sure that you're adding those up through the season. So if I were to give now, I got to wake Meg up. Meg, you still with us? No.
She drank too much. She's just like sleeping. Somebody turn her on her stomach. We don't want her to go out like Hendrix.
If you were going to make, and you can't cheat, I need you to be real here. A specific guess for episode 1, like something that didn't come from the Reddit leaks, did not come from one of your sources. If you were trying to make a guess on something like this, is there anything that comes to mind that you would actually make?
What would Zeb? Because we don't have Zeb in the show concrete by any leaker, but we have Zeb in the Mandalorian's the episode of Mando, which leads us to believe he will be in there. What would that probably get me?
That would get you 5 if you got it 5. Right.
Okay, yeah. That'd be a 5.
We haven't heard that from episode 1.
No.
Yeah. So I'll change that. I'll make that. In fact, I'll do it right now. Look, this is the actual form.
So you guys, I helped. You guys saw I helped.
I'm going to put
Ryder Dirty Azadi. Get out of here.
Zeb in there is the example.
Meg, are you SpaghettiOs Aurelios? He's in.
Yeah. Meg, are you with us?
I am with you.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Do you have any guess that you would be a 5-point example for question 1 here?
Okay, so
1?
I've stayed away from all the leaks. I just left the room, so it's good timing that I put my headphones back in and you said Meg. I don't know if you had tried to summon me before.
I did. I tried to get your attention. No, it's okay. I was like, I think we lost Meg. Are you still with us? But there you go. You're back.
Okay, so I predict for episode 1, and this is a very strong prediction. Ayla Sakura is not going to be in it.
No, you can't do a not.
That's literally what he said you can't do. I said
Okay.
none of these people have been in my kitchen. He said that wouldn't work.
Okay, well, I don't think anyone's mentioned Zeb.
I
We've
did.
had no reliable leaker say that Zeb is in the episode.
That's what I said.
So there
You're
you go.
copying me. You're copying my homework, Meg. Good work.
Okay.
I'm copying your homework too, by the way, just for the
Okay.
record.
A prediction. I predict. Oh, okay. I don't know.
I'm going to steal. Look, we're allowed to steal Jason's homework if we want to. I like saying Zeb will
Chopper
be in
wears
it.
a sombrero. Episode 1. Oh, is it just cameos?
Other ones I put, like Wayland would be in the episode.
Scott Wayland from Sun Temple Pilots.
Like,
Or the planet. You got to be specific.
the planet, of course. Mount Tantus, or Ahsoka flies an X-wing. That would be unusual. Nobody would expect that to happen, but she could.
I don't think her dumb things would let her get in there because she's a creature. Whatever they call her.
That's in poor taste.
Sorry.
Or Ahsoka will see Anakin's Force Ghost. Right? We have not had any leaks that say that is going to happen. Right?
Ooh. What? Okay. My prediction is Ahsoka is possessed by the ghost of Anakin's Force Ghost, and that's Anakin the whole time. And then they have an exorcism at the end.
Do you remember that guy from Rebels on the Thal with the moustache? The guy who reveals what happens to Ezra's parents.
Yeah.
Clancy Brown's character.
That's downtown Clancy Brown who plays Ryder Dirty Azadi.
If I had to make a prediction, I think he might be in the show.
But see, that one's
is Meg really trying to pretend like she didn't read all of the leaks right now? Is that Meg? Is that what Meg is doing right here on this show?
There might be a chance I'm trolling you.
Because Meg, you are not fooling me. You're not fooling anybody in this chat.
I am very much trolling you. Same with the Zeb thing.
It's fantastic. So, if you guys want to participate in the predictions game, the links will be sent out on all the things, right? So I put them on Discord. I'll put them in the YouTube community, Facebook, Twitter, Patreon,
Threads.
all the things.
Are you on
Threads?
on Threads? Right?
I am on Threads.
I follow you.
I keep forgetting about Threads, but Threads is there. It's a thing. So I'll try to do that as well. Very good. Very good. So anything else, you guys? I've got a Mike Porter dad joke. We need to do that. I should have done it before the spoiler section. But you may have already seen this, but it's a good one. It says, "What's a favorite drink of the Jedi?" Mike Porter dad joke. What's a favorite drink of the Jedi? Well, Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon Jinn. There you go.
I have this one.
Yeah.
He put it on your Discord this morning.
That might be why I've seen it before.
Yeah. It's
You
very
could
good.
also do like what's Snoop Dogg's favorite, and it's Qui-Gon Gin and Juice. You could have taken it there if you wanted to too.
But what does Snoop Dogg have to do with Star Wars?
He likes it.
Well,
Remember, he has that Mando outfit. Remember?
some people might say, "What does Lizzo have to do with Star Wars?" But now you know, don't you?
I do.
There you go. So maybe we get Snoop Dogg in Ahsoka.
I'd say it's Nanners.
I think they should put Nicki Minaj into something.
Nicki Minaj. I'm not a fan of hers.
Is anyone?
I mean, I like when she tied me up and took all my money. That was fun. No, I'm
Is she
kidding.
the one that sings the
Was
the
that
very
her? I
rude
can't
song?
remember.
Or is that Cardi B?
I don't know, man.
good
I'm
The,
too old for
the,
this
the
shit.
song about a particular texture of a certain body part.
Hmm.
I don't know. Snoop Dogg cameo in Ahsoka confirmed. No, that's look. I am super excited, and I can't wait for Tuesdays. Tuesdays.
Do you think there's going to be a stupid cameo? Like when I say cameo, I mean
that's
like
a good
Lizzo. Is there going to be a dumb Lizzo like moment? A Jack Black going to show up too? And like are we going to have something stupid like that in this show? I haven't heard anything about it, so
I have not either, but it's become more and more of a thing in Disney Plus Star Wars, hasn't
I hope not. I hope not.
You know what's going to happen, Jason?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be Adam Sandler playing the character he plays in every film, which is just himself in shorts.
Yeah.
And he's just going to be walking down the street with a can of something, and he's just going to see Ahsoka, and he's going to be like, "Hey, Ahsoka, put a sock in it."
It's just going to be like, Doyle rules. And that's it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I would love to see Snoop Dogg though. I like Snoop Dogg. He's very talented. Very, I would love to see him. He's been in all kinds of different things. But there has been far more cameos of like known actors in the Disney era, even in the movies and in the
I'm
Disney
okay
Plus
with
series.
it. Like when James Bond was a stormtrooper, you're like, you don't know, and like you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. It's fine. Tom Hardy is a stormtrooper. It's fine. Like it doesn't take away from anything. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just fun. But when it's Lizzo and Jack Black, I mean the confidence they had in that season to think we could pull this one off.
And what's his name that showed up as a Rancor keeper? What's his name?
Yeah, Trejo's he fits in Star Wars. He's
awesome.
Good. Yeah,
he was
he's
awesome.
Great. Yeah,
So,
that's like
Danny
Trejo. Like put him in Star Wars. That makes complete, like he belongs in Star Wars for sure.
So,
like, I'm cool.
What do you think?
Well, on my show yesterday, we figured out that Lizzo actually fat shamed the Rancor keeper, and that's why he's dead, and that's why Danny Trejo got the job.
So let me just the generic question. Do you think we'll get a Lizzo type cameo? You asked that question. Do you think there'll be like that type of cameo, or do you think there'll be a Danny Trejo type cameo?
I mean, in a way, Favreau started as that. He was that.
Yeah.
Clone Wars. Jon Favreau's gonna play, a Mandalorian. What? And then now here we are.
I've got a prediction. I don't know if this has been mentioned, but who was that guy on Lothal with the mustache in Rebels? I think Clancy Brown's character. He should be in this.
What I would predict actually. Here's my prediction. I don't know if this is true. Ewan McGregor is going to play something in the show. His wife's in it. He probably would have visited. Maybe he does a little Mark Hamill thing. Maybe he's a voice of a trash can or something.
Oh, I like that.
Wait, Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor. Maybe he has a
voice of
a dinosaur in it, or something weird. You know what I mean?
What if he's the voice of a droid smith? That
one's Doctor Who.
Yeah.
It's Doctor Who.
Yeah,
they're both Scottish.
Professor Diana's.
Yeah. Professor Hyang.
If Ewan McGregor plays a trash can, they need to get his ex-wife to pass by and just throw all of the years they were together in him.
Maybe he's that droid that's trying to get out of there when that you pointed out in your video, like this guy just wants out, right? When Balin's coming in and just tearing things up, and that droid's just like out. Maybe that's Ewan McGregor does his voice.
You think Matt Smith is really mad that David Tennant is in it because he was almost Palpatine. He was almost like the acolyte.
Oh yeah,
and then he didn't get it.
So we know what. And look, we know Hayden's going to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a solid. Will it be a flashback vision?
Could Obi-Wan be a ghost in this? I mean, that's a fair question too. I mean, like I said, it's not like he doesn't have a connection to the production, and he just done the Kenobi series. I have nothing on this. This is just me going like spitballing. But if you were going to put the ghost of Anakin in it, you could put Obi-Wan in it too with it. I mean, she did grow up. I mean, that was my two dads for Ahsoka for a long time.
So Ghost of Anakin, yes or no? We'll do some rapid fire stuff. Ghost of Anakin, yes?
Absolutely.
Jason?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, Ghost of Obi-Wan, since you brought it up.
Please, no.
I'm going to say yeah, just because I'm right.
I'm an Alec Guinness fan. I don't like any of the other Obi-Wans.
Perfect.
I'm going to fight you later.
Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill.
No, I say
yes.
No. Din Djarin.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like there's no way he's not in it.
The one that everybody wants to know. Pelimoto.
Of course.
I think Pelimoto's got to be in it. Yeah.
But Pelimoto and Ahsoka are getting married. That's the whole
No,
thing.
no. We already know Peli has a thing for Jawas. Ahsoka's not her type.
Oh yeah, Ahsoka don't shave. She's hairy too. They're ready to go. She's a creature. Didn't you know that? Sorry.
What about
Sorry.
what about
Okay, I won't say it anymore. I won't say it.
what about Rex?
You know what, Jason? I take offense to that on behalf of all Jawas. You don't understand the struggles that we have to face.
Sorry, Shorty.
No,
I just pick makeup and let her get things off the shelf. It worked. She's like, meh, meh.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
what about Rex? Rex?
No.
Yeah, I'm like no on Rex, but I find it like to be like a weird one. But I'm thinking maybe Rex is something they say for season 2, with the hopes that they would get one, because you can't, if you do it all in season 1, there's something to do in season 2. So, but it's weird that we got like the kid from Lothal, in that episode with the cadets, and then like Rex isn't in it. But I think it's more about getting Tamara Morrison, probably, like in a meaningful way, right?
Well, that was the other. Then,
but they did it in Kenobi. I mean, he is the homeless clone in Kenobi, so it's
yeah, he did. What about Boba Fett?
Maybe.
I think the least likely of all for me would be Boba Fett.
But would you have predicted Ahsoka in Book of Boba Fett?
No, I wouldn't, but I would, I would predict they would make him play Rex before they'd make him play Boba Fett in it. And then if you if you do it, then you don't want Rex and Boba Fett in the same thing.
Jason said doo-doo.
Doo-doo.
Okay. Anyway,
If you have Rex though and Boba Fett in the same series, it's like that's kind of a lot for very little payoff in theory from what we think we know.
So what about Tim playing a homeless clone or whatever?
Yeah.
Tim, you're going to see Tim in it?
Maybe.
But
I don't think so though. That's my whole thing. That's where I'm like, I don't think we're gonna see him. But I hope so.
What about if we've got Sabine Wren, what about Bo-Katan?
I think Bo's in it.
Where would she fit in it? Is my
Sabine's
thinking.
journey as a Mandalorian.
On Din's lap, that's where she fit. No.
Oh damn! You think they would do you think they might show like a flashback stuff with like the? You think they would do that many of the moments from Rebels? I would be down for it if they did it though.
Yeah, I don't think so. Katie, I don't think was involved in it. So
You're forgetting one massive cameo.
Well,
I'd put good money on Darth Maul being in this.
You would?
People call him Maul, but I'm OG. He's Darth Maul.
No.
Well, absolutely. Darth to me.
In a flashback, of course.
Well, it could be. If she's having visions of Mustafar, she could have visions of Maul because she fought Maul.
Malachor.
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
Mandalore.
Absolutely. What about Callus? He's missing. If we've seen Zeb in Mando 3, where's Callus hanging out?
They'll probably ignore Callus. It's too much of a PR difficulty with how do you put him in without snubbing the voice actor.
I don't know. I mean, they didn't put Ashley Eckstein in as Ahsoka. They didn't put Sabine. So I think they have an out. I'm not saying people won't try to make it a thing. They will, but I think they totally have an out. That would be defended.
What about Ashley Eckstein as some random citizen on a planet?
Or as the voice of young Ahsoka?
That's a good one.
We had Matt.
If we have Ahsoka doing a flashback where she fights young Anakin and Obi-Wan's dead in the moment, if there is any lines, it would be Ashley being the voice because that would be the age-appropriate voice.
Yeah, you ready for me to make Meg really mad?
Okay.
You ready? Are you ready, Meg?
I'm ready.
Okay. Matt Lanter, the penultimate Anakin Skywalker, the definitive Anakin Skywalker. Matt Lanter, he showed up in Mando.
as a
character.
jerk. As a jerk.
He was
he was
Codmat's assistant.
He was the he
It
was
was the
on
rebels. It was the first rebel fleet or Republic fleet trooper we saw who was in charge of the prison.
right.
Oh, I
Right.
see.
He was in charge of the prison there, and they shot him. But yeah, Matt Lanter was played a different character in there. What about Ashley? You know, the best Anakin. What about the best? I'm trolling Meg. This is on purpose. She's been she's been trolling me the whole show. But we might as well troll her back.
It's a fair take.
Yeah, every time she says that Hayden is the definitive Anakin, I argue with her on when I'm watching her videos. No, she's not, Meg. You be quiet. All right, no, he's not. But
She's
anyway, Matt Lanter is much better Anakin. But what about Ashley? Any kind of appearance in this? We know she was there.
Do you remember in episode 9 when John Williams played like a bartender?
Yeah.
She might have that sort of role.
Yeah. What do you think? Yes or no? Ashley
Yes.
is in the series.
I think so.
Yes.
I think it's likely.
Jason, are you aware of the castings for young Ahsoka?
I'm not. I don't even know if we actually see her. Like that's why, like I said, somebody else started running with that, and then it's been attributed to me a couple of times. I don't know who they were saying it was somebody from Game of Thrones. I have no freaking idea, no clue whatsoever on who it is. I'm dumb on that. If they even actually made it.
Well, like the second we see Ashley in the show, get your Leo DiCaprio memes ready. And just go ahead and make it, because that's exactly what's going to happen, right?
Is the joke that even young Ahsoka's too old for him?
No, the one where he's like,
Oh, I see. Sorry, you say DiCaprio, I think of him being a creep.
she's too old for him already. But no, the one where he's pointing, right? Like that's the one.
This is the Star Wars Santa show with me and Jason that you have us on. So
Yeah,
I thought you were going there.
it's your fault.
It is my fault, but anyway, Snoop Dogg is Hondo. I love that idea. Then we get him canonized. Oh, that'd be great.
Honda would be a good guess, though, of a cameo that we haven't heard of that I think could very well happen.
He very well could. And Meg mentioned earlier that this series may have more cameos in it than any other series. And I said earlier we would touch base on that. And so I'd like to do that quickly. Like, take out the Rebels characters. So, as far as the primary Rebels characters, meaning, Ahsoka, Sabine, Hera. Oh, Jason, right? Jason Syndulla. Chopper, Zeb. Take those characters out. Cameos, and you can include in this Mon Mothma, because we know she's going to be in here. That's a cameo, I would say. We know Anakin is going to be there in some capacity at some point. What other cameos are you counting on, Meg, when you think that we may get more here than in any other show?
I really am being hopeful as a fan of Heir to the Empire.
Oh.
But I want to see Admiral Akbar, because he's a very important part of canon and legends at this time.
Yeah, he is. He is.
My brain went to the same place, but I was going down a trolling avenue, and I was just going to say General Madine.
Do you want to know what's so funny, Jason? A video I never published was on characters I think could appear in Ahsoka, and Madine was on there. Because I was studying on Wikipedia some what's going on with the New Republic, because I've not read all the books. I've read the main ones. But Madine dies around this time, so why not? But also, I think they've replaced Akbar with the other Mon Calamari, who's a minifigure in the Lego set.
Oh, yeah. The one from Andor.
No, there's a new New Republic officer who's a Mon Calamari.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he's in one of the photos we got from EW
Yeah.
or was it either
Okay,
Empire
okay.
or EW? I can't remember which one now. But
Um,
we see him and he's like Arbor Akbar, but we don't know how he speaks because we haven't seen him.
there's others that could show up, but probably won't. Right? What about?
DH Wedge, as Sam points out.
Well, you got to think about Omega, right? She could be there. I don't think so. You could also have wait, oh shoot, had her name. Our assassin, Ming Na
Cad
Wen,
Bane, Fennec Shand.
Fennec Shand.
I don't think. If you look at Ming Na Wen's schedule and things,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way she was in this.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yes, the Mon Calamari is called Beta.
Good work, Seth.
Young Ben Swallow. Oh, you brought that up in one of your videos, Meg. That we
I
could
did.
end up with like a 9-year-old.
I'm convinced we're getting Leia or Han or both. I feel like that's too good of an opportunity to pass up. I'll be right back.
Okay. Mon Calamari. Yeah, there you go. Omega. Is Omega in the room with you? No, she's not. She's not. A baby Finn. No. Quinlan Voss. He's possible.
I think Omega's always with Santa right here in his heart.
In my heart, yeah. What about one of the Huxes, right?
Oh, the
Dad
Hutts
or son?
Like you said, the Hut. I thought you said Hutts is like
One of the
the
Hutts.
job of the Hutts is.
So we could actually have one of them.
Yeah, I mean,
Daddy
Meg
for
Hutt.
sure. Right?
Yeah.
Daddy for sure.
I think there's a pretty good chance that we see the remnant guys that we saw in Mando. They might be a part of that scene where Thrawn returns. I kind of think it would make a lot of sense for them all to be there.
There was the other theory that Meg had
Daddy's home.
about the Ren. No, it wasn't Meg.
The Rent?
It was the Knights of Ren. It was Screen Rant. Screen Rant did a thing. The Knights of Ren, they tie into this travel to the unknown regions. They were established by this point. They would tie into the storyline and maybe connect it to the sequels. That's something we haven't talked about at all, are tie-ins to the sequels.
That was one of the things I wanted to mention with Jai showing up. Jai is a child who's put into Imperial service to be a trooper. He rebels almost immediately. He doesn't stick with it. But I'm kind of curious if those kinds of characters may end up playing into the First Order stuff that's about to happen. Because when you get down to it, like what you're going to have is the First Order, as they beat Thrawn, we're going to have the kids start to get taken. And that's going to probably be something that leads to the Leia, we got to get going here. This is coming. Like the war is coming. And I'm wondering if that character, for instance, could be emerging to be a part of that story arc.
Sheev, I love you, but my friend, I absolutely love you. But we're in an area where spoilers are on the table. So I cannot guarantee you we won't say something that's not spoilery. And I know you've been avoiding spoilers like the plague. So please, I love you. I'd love you to be here as a guest on the show, but you got to get out. You got to run while it's still
Yoda
safe.
gets big in the episode. He grows. He's a ghost.
Run away, Sheev. Run away as fast as you can. Thank you.
The ghost of Yoda appeared to General Madine, scaring him, giving him a heart attack, causing a vessel to crash. That vessel opened up a crack in the ground, and Snoke comes out.
Jar Jar.
Santa,
Yeah.
I've got another prediction of who's going to appear.
Yeah.
The Maltese sisters.
They are Ahsoka's buddies, and they
They
are
are.
involved in this kind of thing. That's a really good one. That's a really good one. What about Jar Jar? Well, we know we got we were able to get our guy back into Star Wars as a Jedi Knight.
Thinking
But what
back
about
on
Jar
it,
Jar?
I don't think Ahsoka and Jar Jar interact. Do they in the Clone Wars? Do they ever interact? I can't think of a moment off the top of my head where those two characters
maybe.
actually have like a thing together. Like surprisingly, they don't have an episode together. She has an episode with Chewbacca, but she doesn't. I don't think she has one with Jar Jar.
and he has a couple of adventures in there,
Yeah,
but I don't think so.
I think he interacted with Padme, not with
mostly with Padme. Just like he was like relegated 3PO and Jar Jar are in like the Padme universe of Star Wars.
And I think Sketchcraft's right. None of these people I think he's right. None of them are actually appear, but it's a lot of fun to speculate, and I like to speculate like anybody else. But do it responsibly, my friends. Like Morok is just Morok, my friends. He's not somebody else. Don't do it.
What if at the end he puts down his lightsaber and he's like, "I want to make music. I don't want to die here today." And then he plays the maracas. That was from Mike Porter.
DJ Marok.
Right. If he was there to film for Mando, what if they snuck him on the other set?
How dare they? How dare they do that behind our back? That's cheating.
Look, I think that would be huge to see a Jar Jar Binks moment.
Yeah,
that would be huge.
It would be good. I mean, and like when you would want Ahmed Best to play him.
Oh yeah.
But in a imperfect world where things don't line up or you want to keep something a secret, you could get somebody else to play him and you could have Ahmed voice him. Like he didn't really play him physically in the Clone Wars, but he voiced him except for the one time BJ Hughes did, and it was terrible.
Look, of all these things that we've talked about and just having fun here in the last few minutes, I think the most likely of all of them is that we do get Ashley in a non-Ahsoka role. Mm-hmm. We'll get her just as some marketplace person or a guard or something like that. I think it's very possible. A face, like not under a stormtrooper helmet where you can't tell it's her, but we'll actually see Ashley. Yeah. I think that is very, very likely. So if I were to put I may change my wild speculation.
I heard she plays a Wookiee and they just like glued fur to her face and stuff. She's like, they call it, her name is Patches, the little Wookiee. And she just has this like fur. It kind of looks like Teen Wolf, but like worse.
A Teen Wolf. Michael J. Fox confirmed. Yeah. No. If I were to make a wild speculation, my 25-point series prediction, I would say Ashley Eckstein will be a scene in the series.
He's tapping the desk, you guys. That's how you know he means it. When you hear Santa doing the tap,
I mean it.
That means he's
also means I need to go pee. But anyway,
this guy needs to pee. You guys need to let this guy go. He could get a UTI from this episode because that's how much he loves you guys.
Oh, you guys are great. It's good to see Scotty in the chat and our birthday girl KG. Thank you so much for being here and for those tremendous super chats. Absolutely unbelievable. Thank you for that, Khonshu66, Matt Risman, Mumbo Jimbo.
Khonshu's so nice. Khonshu, you are so giving.
He's amazing. So thank you all for that. So Meg, any parting thoughts before we go?
I don't think so.
Fantastic. Jason, I asked Meg this at the very beginning. You weren't here. Of your hype level for going into Ahsoka. Meg's come down from maybe a 10 to an 8. I'm probably going up from an 8 to maybe a 9.5, and I'm worried about that. Where would you put your hype level on a 0 to 10?
4 is where I was.
Yeah.
Now I'm at 7.
7.
Excellent. I went from a 4 to a 7. Yeah.
Excellent. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Like I said, I talked to a lot of people who saw it yesterday. Several different people. And it's a bit slow at the start. And I think Rebels fans are going to be like, yes, that makes sense. This is how this should be. And then, but the general people who didn't watch Rebels, I don't know what to expect for them. I have no idea how it's going to go, but I think it's going to be. But I think right now I'm at probably like a 7. I watched the clip this morning. I was like, this clip is kind of a lame clip because we've seen so much of it already. But I also loved it. I was
another question. And I asked this to you guys on Discord, but both ignored me. Act like I don't exist. I know how you are. But
anyway, you guys said we were starting at 9:30, and then I'm here at 9:30. You guys started at 9. So I don't even know what's going on in Discord anymore. I was trying to find out how I did this, but I don't know how I did it wrong.
If you were given the opportunity last night to go to your local theater and pay 8, 10, 12 bucks, whatever it is for a ticket these days, would you have paid to go see those 2 episodes in the theater last night?
Yeah, people.
Absolutely.
I would do it, and it's ridiculous that they don't offer that kind of stuff for it. I understand the not wanting to have brand confusion, not wanting to rob the Star Wars theatrical experience and confuse the two. But when it's one of those like Fathom events things where people go watch Pink Floyd or something live, or whatever, do it like that, and don't overly advertise it, and there will be no confusion, and the fans will just start going organically, and we'll have a great time, and you'll make a lot of money.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, that was the other question I asked you guys. Do you think they could make money doing it? Because there's a cost, right? There's a cost in the distribution, getting it out there, getting.
They don't got to make prints. They don't got to, Yeah, and then like when you get down to it, like the marketing budget for the show, when they do like the bus ads and the billboards and stuff like that. Well, how much more is it to have some posters in the theaters that are doing the events? It's not that crazy. It's not. I don't think it's that crazy. They were looking at before the pandemic. They were looking into it for Mando. They were talking about like doing an. Iger admitted they're talking about doing an edit or some way of like letting people do an event or something. And then the pandemic happened and we never got anywhere.
I think that would be absolutely brilliant. Like, do a 1 week exclusive preview event where you show the first 2 episodes. They've been doing that sort of anyway.
And then like Kenobi, they kind of did it. Remember, they did like the finale.
Exactly.
Not for us. Like Canadians got it.
So again, they've done it with select groups, right? So at Celebration, they let some folks see early, and now with Ahsoka, they had a big thing, right? Worldwide, they had different places that they did this. They like flew people in and let them go watch it and stuff like that. Like all kinds of craziness. All around the world, theaters, why not just make this a fan event? Make it clear, like you said, you don't want brand confusion. It's a fan event at your local theater. You can pay 8, 10, 12 bucks.
Battlestar Galactica did it for free.
Well, and just think about getting all kinds of people that are huge fans in the same room to cheer at the same time. How much fun would that be to sit in a theater and hear other people cheering and laughing and having a good time together, and you're amongst fellow nerds of Star Wars.
And let's cheer and laugh at Sketchcraft because he probably didn't hear the earlier part of the show. Santa's really random weird stuff he always says where we're like, stop it, Santa. We know Ryder's not going to be in it. He's in it with the little kid from the show. So he's already right, and you're already wrong, Rob.
I know.
Already wrong.
I've gotten 2 victory laps already.
Already wrong. You got him, Santa. You got him.
Do you know who should be in this show?
Who's that?
Do you remember the guy on Lothal from Star Wars Rebels with the white moustache?
No.
Clancy Brown's character?
You're thinking of Jan Dodonna, I think.
That's the one. Maydeen.
Yeah. Do you think Jan Dodonna hates that his name is Jan? You think people laugh like Jan? This guy can't leave the rebellion. His name is Jan.
Meg.
Do you guys think that will see Zed? No reliable outlets have reported on it.
Unlikely.
Too much. Meg. I can't wait to one day beat you in person. And
lift her up and let her get something off the top shelf.
She's absolutely brilliant. I love her so much.
When me and Meg hang out, I'm gonna get a little blue backpack like Luke wears with Yoda, and I'm gonna have her hop in the back. And
So what you're saying is you want me to ride you?
Yeah. Please, mommy.
My first year as Santa Claus, a guy brought his kid dressed up as an Ewok. It's Christmas time. And he's brought his kid dressed in as an Ewok. We're in Toys R Us, and I'm Santa in Toys R Us, and the kids are walking around as an Ewok. That could have been Meg. I don't know. I actually met her in person years ago.
Did you go, no? Did you start worshiping him? Like a C-3PO?
Hey, no. I do have exclusive content on Patreon. I've got the Thrawn trilogy on there. My love to hate it book. You can review all of Darth Plagueis on there, and for my Patreon subscribers, supporters, my patrons, I want to know, what book do you want to do next? Do you want to jump back into the other Thrawn trilogy, the prequel to the Thrawn trilogy? Do you want to go to Aftermath? Do you want to do
We're all saying courtship of Princess Leia. That's what we've all been saying.
Whatever you guys want. Let's start to get that information together. And
I have an
will-
idea.
Uh-oh.
If you want genuine,
Genuine.
there's
Is
a
it?
book. There was a book that tied into Star Wars Rebels.
Oh yeah.
It was about that character. What was his name? He was like, he had a white mustache. He's from Lothal. Clancy Brown's character. Zeb.
Anna, you should do Crystal Star. That way, it's so bad. Do you remember that one? Did you ever read that one?
No.
It's one of the worst Star Wars books ever written of all time. You should read it just to be like, this is why we should appreciate when we have just any mediocrity, because it gets so much worse than this.
It does. I mean, for example, you've got the Darth Plagueis novel. It's terrible.
Oh no, the Darth Plagueis novel is Lord of the Rings compared to Crystal Star.
Okay.
I promise. I promise you this.
Come check us out on Patreon. That's a wonderful way to support the channel. And Meg has a wonderful Patreon. Jason has a Patreon, and so does our friend Bespin Bulletin. So you guys,
he's not here. Don't say his name. Screw that guy. He's
Patreon is the best way to support your favorite content creators. It really is.
It is.
So if you think Meg and Jason are some of your favorite content creators, you know, throw them a little.
It makes my beard grow. Someday I'm gonna have a beard like Santa. And
Over there on Patreon. If you haven't explored Patreon, come check us out. You can subscribe to my channel. You know, not these two, because they're just money. They're money grabbers.
Yeah, pay me.
Yeah, no, you can join mine for 1 week for free.
Aggressive super chatting
For free for 1 week.
Us.
Meg said she was going to do it, but no, she says I can't. I got to have every penny. No, I kid. No, you should,
I'm letting people get in there and get that exclusive content for free.
For free.
That's crazy.
For a week. No, I love you guys.
I want Hat Lady to show up. You think Hat Lady's dead, huh? She's dead.
Thanks for hanging out with me today. I can't wait for Ahsoka and for us to touch base again next week. So, all right. Well, thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll be out on the tractor bush hogging the field.
I don't know what that means, but
Jason will be doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Jason will be bush hogging his field.
I'm gonna be bush hogging up and down the street, you guys.
Today's show brought to you by Manscaped. No, it's got nothing.
A bush hog.
No. All right, you guys. Take care. All right.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for being here. All right. Until next time, my friends. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. And may the force be with you always. Bye-bye.